What's up, guys? It's Kamikaze Fox coming to you once again. SRL F1 2018 for the PS4 platform, and this is round 18 in Mexico. And yes, I am back for the day. The Fox is in the house. I know I have been missed from commentating, so it's good to be back in the booth. And I want to throw a shout out to Francis McGinn and Reese March and everybody that filled in for me while I was away, taking care of some personal matters. And I'm not sure I'll be able to finish out the rest of the season, but that doesn't matter because right now I'm here today for round 18, the Mexico Grand Prix, and the talk of the town is the 3/4-way battle for the championship, which is really coming down to the wire, and we'll talk about that a little bit more as we get going here. But right now we're going to run down the driver list. Looks like we've got 14 drivers signing in so far, and a lot of people have new gamer tags, so I had to relearn everything all over again. But Azura 873 is Foons Van Houten. Then we've got Sandro Dulius. R3D is Louis Quinlan, and then Rennie Vanderstapp, Colin Higgins, Reese March, Tyler Martin, Jorge Correa, Dion Stahl, Ivan Brito. Robert Dornbos is not the real Robert Dornbos, 11-time Grand Prix driver and current touring car driver. That is actually Sam Van Elven, and why he picked that, I don't know. Sam Brandt is Jonanin, and Tim Coronel is actually Tim Hofnagel. Then we've got Cameron Weston Edwards, and of course myself commentating back in the booth once again. And it is a 4-way battle for the championship. And a lot has happened since the last time I have joined you guys. We'll try to recap that a little bit. So it looks like the last time I joined you may have been back at Monza. Actually, it was Monza where Francis McGinn filled in for me. Vasilios Belisiotis took home his second pole that weekend, 4th win on the year. Nick Van Gelder came home second. That was his 8th podium, and Rennie Vanderstapp came home with a much-needed podium, finishing 3rd spot. That was round 15. Heading into round 16 at Silverstone, that was a wet race and a lot of controversy surrounding Sam Van Elven as he was a lap car. Francis McGinn walked away with his 9th pole of the year, but Nick Van Gelder came out on top in the wet conditions. With his 2nd win of the season, McGinn came home 2nd place. Sandro Dulius picked up a much-needed 3rd spot to keep his championship hopes alive. Jorge Correa, Vasilios, and Jan Holm all crashed out. And then Sam Van Elven was actually disqualified for holding up Sam Brandt towards the end of the race for a number of laps. And then Canada, Vasilios picked up his 3rd pole position and his 5th win of the year. Francis McGinn came home 2nd. Sandro Dulius with another podium finish to try and keep those championship hopes alive after he suffered a DNF back in Hungary is what it was, which was round 13. That set him back a little bit. And he actually had a DNF in Monza as well. And that really put him in the hole. So round 18 is going to be Mexico, which has the longest front stretch of any F1 track currently, I believe. It's 3/4 of a mile long. Something ridiculous like that. That, and I think China has one of the longest back stretches on the league calendar. Sam Van Elven chiming in on the live chat. Please spectate more than the top. I don't know what he's referring to, but I don't know if he means the top of the car or the top 10. But I usually don't do onboards, and I usually try to concentrate on the closest battles on track. So we're going to do 18-minute qualifying session, then we'll jump into a 50% race here for round 18 in Mexico. And we see one of the Renaults already leaving the pits. Could be Sam Van Elven himself, or possibly Rennie Vanderstapp. Rennie Vanderstapp put in a good, hard-fought battle this year to try and stay in championship contention. But as the last few races have unwound, he's falling out mathematically. Sandro Dulius is still mathematically in the championship fight, but he would need nothing less short than a miracle That being said, the two leaders in the championship right now, Francis McGinn and Vasilios Belasiotis, who both race for the Racing Point / Force India, neither one of them are in the race today, so this could be big news for Sandro. And I also don't see a Nick Van Gelder, so the miracle may be happening for Sandro today. We see Tim Hofnagel out on his outlap. Dion Stahl, that's Sandro Dulius' teammate. Tyler Martin, all on their outlaps. Colin Higgins, Sam Van Elven. Rennie Vanderstappen is still in the pits. Ivan Brito on his outlap. Cameron Weston Edwards. And Sandro himself. So all eyes are going to be on Sandro today, as he's really got a good chance to put himself back in some very good contention to take on this championship battle down to the last few races. He's only got 2 DNFs this year, and that came at round 15 in Monza and then round 13 in Hungary. He's got 7 podium finishes on the year, and he had that very commanding win back in Singapore in the very tough conditions. Looks like Sandro's going to start a hot lap here. DRS slot open down this very long front stretch, and then the into the braking zone, a hard right-hander. A quick left-right interchange here. And then into the next DRS zone. The slot opens up as we look at the rear of the Ferrari. Looks like the back end is sliding out. Tyler Martin's the first driver to set a time at a 1:16.162. That's in the McLaren. Oh, and Colin Higgins goes 1:15.489. And Colin Higgins has upped his speed a little bit here lately in the qualifying last few rounds, but he hasn't been able to really put it together for a stellar race just yet. Finished 9th back at Silverstone in the wet conditions. Didn't participate in Canada. And a 1:14.340 for Sandro Dulius, putting his stamp on qualifying real quick. And R3D, that is Louis Quinlan in the Williams, who has also found some speed as of late in qualifying, but still has had some dire luck in the race conditions. In fact, Jorge Correa and Louis Quinlan have been battling for the most DNFs so far this year. Jorge Correa has a total of 10 DNFs in SRL so far this year. Last time I checked, Louis Quinlan was competing in IRL for the most DNFs. He's got 4 DNFs as of round 13 in Hungary, but he hasn't participated in as many races in SRL this year. So good to see him. See, Sam Van Elven is going to the top of the charts, 1:14.257. So the time's starting to drop a little bit. 4 drivers in the 1:14s, 4 drivers in the 1:15s. And a caution in sectors 1, 2, and 3. That's probably for corner cutting. Track is wide open. Time penalties are a big issue here at Mexico, especially heading through the back part of the S's. That section right there, that little backstretch, when you're coming out of the S's, that last left-hander, a lot of guys run wide, and they're going to pick up some time penalties. That could be a big factor in today's race. And Sam Van Elven is going to dive into the pit. Sandro Dulius is already in there. pick up Dion Stahl, who runs a little wide there. He's down in the stadium section. Oh, and a big slide as the back end kicks out on Dion's car. He'll come across the line at a 1:16.491. Invalidates his time, so no time set for him. Sam Brandt comes across the line, goes 6th quickest. We just caught the tail end of that. 1:15.383. And Foons Van Houten with his new gamer tag as Jura873. Just starting a hot lap as he heads into the second DRS zone. Looks like he's off the pace. Slot stays closed. And now we have Nick Van Gelder. Here we go. Must have missed him earlier. He's cutting the chicane in the stadium section. He's going 5th quickest, 1:15.0. So it looks like we missed Nick's name earlier in the track listing. And a lot of guys heading into the pits. 10 minutes left to play in the qualifying session, and 4 drivers have yet to set a time. Tim Hofnagel, Dion Stahl, Jorge Correa, and Foons Van Houten. Stahl and Van Houten are the only ones actually out on track. Hofnagel's still in the pits along with Jorge Correa. And Sandro heading back out on track. Louis Quinlan heading back out on track, trying to put some heat into the tires. As we talked earlier, Quinlan's had a pretty rough year as he heads to the S's. This is going to be the section there that a lot of guys are going to pick up some time penalties. That could definitely be a factor in today's race. Quinlan had a rough year so far in IRL and SRL. We talked about his DNFs earlier. Started the season with a string of DNFs in IRL. Decided to take a sabbatical. Waited until Christmas to get a new wheel. Got a new wheel. Came back in January and ran into the same issues that he was having. Looks like he's been able to put together some finishes here in the last couple of races. Finished 10th back at Silverstone. Was able to pick up a championship point there. Continue to watch him try and set the time. Into the second section. Looks like one of the McLarens is out on track trying to get out of the way. Looks like that might have been Tim Hofnagel. He's out on his on an out lap right now. You see you watching number 32 Williams of Louis Quinlan. So far 4th quickest. Keeps it nice and tight through the S's down the backstretch here. Runs a 27.9 in sector 2. Not sure how that compares to any other times. Just happened to catch at the top of the screen. Oh, and the back end kicks out as he just caught the curve with the right rear tire. Wanted to oversteer that car a little bit. Comes across the line. 1:14.180 to the top of the charts. Great lap by Louis Quinlan. Fastest lap of the day. Meanwhile, we've picked up Sam Van Elven, who's now dropped to 2nd as he heads through the S's and down the backstretch. He's got one of the Toro Rossos right behind him as they head through the stadium section, the old baseball stadium here. Sam Van Elven way off the pace that lap, 1:16.0. Definitely does not improve his time. DRS slot open is going to give it another go as he heads down the very long front stretch here. Hard right-hander coming up. Gets to corners 2 and 3. Back out on the next DRS section. Second quickest so far as he tries to find some speed. And it looks like he's already down on his time by a little bit more than half a tenth. 63 thousandths of a second. presses, keeps it nice and tight down the backstretch. And now he's 0.3 off of his best time, so he is definitely not going to be improving his position this time around. Back end kicks out a little bit there over the curb. And it looks like he is going to give up on this and head into the pits. So we'll pick up Nick Van Gelder. Van Gelder and Dulius are going to be the ones to watch. We must have missed his name earlier in the session. Looks like he's going to dive out of the way for Sam Brandt. And looks like one of the Saubers there. But Nick Van Gelder and Sandro Dulius can definitely capitalize today if they can get some good points on the board and close up that championship battle between Francis McGinn and Basilios Belasiotis. They're both still in the fight. But McGinn is not in the race. Belasiotis is not in the race as well. Van Gelder so far 5th quickest. Sandro Dulius is 3rd quickest. Van Gelder should give himself a little bit of a gap to these two cars in front of him. He is going to head into the pits, not going to set a time this time by. 5:30 left to play in the session, and Tim Haltnagel and Dion Stahl have still yet to set a time. Ivan Brito in the Williams, 4th quickest. That's a good run for him. 1:14.459. 4th fastest so far. 6 drivers in the 1:14 range, and only 0.7 of a second spreading 1st through 6th. Then you get to 7th place. You have Sam Brent. He's the first driver in the 1:15s. And everybody else, 7th through 13th, is all in the 1:15 area, also separated by 0.7 of a second. So very tight field so far. A lot of these guys running very close in time. I think the key today, if the weather stays dry, it'll definitely be the keys to winning this race will be staying out of trouble, especially on the opening couple of laps. And I think time penalties are going to be a huge issue. We're going to try and keep track of the time penalties. But time penalties have been a big issue in the 2 leagues that I commentate for, SRL in the past and IRL. Both of those leagues have had some changes in the finishing position due to time penalties. So I think that'll be one of the things to definitely watch today as we continue to watch Ivan Brito. Ooh, a little bit of a twitch there from the car. A little bit of snap oversteer. Looks like it ran wide a little bit as he heads down the 2nd DRS section. Another left-right exchange here. Couple hard right-handers. He's going to run a little wide there. That might have invalidated his time. Looks like it was all 4 off. And then you get down to the S section. Oh, and he runs very wide there. That right there, that's going to definitely invalidate the time, and that in the race would pick him up a warning for exceeding the track limits and corner cutting. Rennie Vanderstappen, we haven't talked about him a whole lot today, but he is currently up to 4th. He dives into the pits. 3 minutes left to play in this session. Foons Van Houten has managed to set a time, 9th quickest, 1:15.373. He's currently on an outlap, as is Reese March. And Reese is in the Haas. And again, a shout out to Reese March. He filled in for me a little bit while I was away. I know Reese isn't as exciting, but let's just be grateful that there was a commentator and at least a stream for us to keep up with the action. Cameron Weston Edwards is actually running in 12th, 1:15.664. He is a much better driver than that time presents. Really surprised by that time. He might be having a hard time with the setup. And I do believe after this race, you'll be able to switch over to... I don't know that there'll be a stream for it, but IRL, he's running a IRL commemorative race today in honor of Niki Lauda. IRL is going to run a commemorative race in the 1976 Ferrari 312Ts in honor of Niki Lauda, and they're going to run at Austria, his home track, for the Austrian in honor of his death. Was recently passed, unfortunately. Looks like he is off the pace too. Looks like Cameron is having some issues with the car, maybe possibly his wheel. Gets it going again. Maybe trying to put some heat into the rear tires. Hard to say. Looks like he had a little bit of an issue there. So here we go, 1 minute left in the session, and it's going to come down to the wire here. Hot laps are going to count. Watching Cameron Weston Edwards, one of the Red Bulls on the side there. Been Nick Van Gelder. Down in a turn 1-2 complex, comes out of 3, gets back on the power back and slides out a little bit. DRS slot opens up. And you see a gaggle of cars behind him. Cautions in sectors 1 and 2. Everybody going to try and put in one last-ditch effort. Plus, put the power down the back end, swings out behind him. He's working those ultra saws. Car looks a little twitchy. Through the stadium section. And he's off the pace. He is off the pace. What has happened to Cameron Weston Edwards? He pulls aside. He's so close to the end. And Sam Van Alven goes back to the top of the charts. 1:14.088. Louis Quinlan calls it a day. We're going to pick up Sandro Dulius. And Cameron Weston Edwards finally retires from the session. And Sandro Dulius is going to call it a day, so he'll be coming home third. Rennie Vanderstapp has called it a day. Pick up Ivan Britos. He's coming out of the stadium section now. Looks like he might be off the pace a little bit as well. He's going to be calling it a day. Pick up Dion Stahl. He's currently in the stadium section. Coming out the back end, slides out on him, drifts it a little bit coming out of there. Very close to the outside wall. He's going to come across the line. 1:14.826. Improves his time, not his position. So Mexico with a shock pole position for Sam Van Alven in the Renault. Something Robert Dornbos was never able to do in his short-lived Formula One career, which spanned a whopping 11 races. So there's your starting grid. That's Sam Van Alven, Louis Quinlan. Nick Van Gelder manages to take third spot away from Sandro Dulius. Ivan Brito 5th. Foons Van Houten works his way up to 6th. Rennie Vanderstapp falls back to 7th. Dion Stahl is 8th. Jorge Correa is 9th. Colin Higgins 10th. Sam Brandt is 11th. Reese March 12th. Cameron Weston Edwards struggled there at the end, 13th. Tyler Martin is 14th. And Tim Hoffnagel does not set a time. That may be due to a qualifying ban. I am not 100% sure. But a shock front row. Louis Quinlan, second. Sam Van Alven picking up his first ever SRL pole position. So it looks like we got a dry track for now. Looks like some clouds in the sky. Not sure if weather will be a factor in this race or not. Wait for this to get set here. So an amazing front row. Two guys we don't see up there very often. Sam Van Alven, Louis Quinlan. Congratulations to them. And it looks like we're going to do the formation lap. Here we go. Now we can see some cars. So formation lap has begun. Sam Van Alven with his first ever SRL pole position. He is going to try and keep the car there and put some points on the board, maybe pick up his first win. This will make up for round 16 where he was disqualified for blocking for 6 laps. So good start for round 18 for him. We'll see how he can hold up today. Louis Quinlan also starting on the front row, and he'll be looking to try and pick up a podium. He's had a couple of them in the past in SRL, but he struggled this year, so he'll be definitely trying to put one on the board today. Nick Van Gelder starting third. He'll be looking to close that championship points gap to Francis McGinn and Vasilios Belasiotis. Van Gelder coming off a 6th place finish. Sandro Julius coming off a 3rd place finish in Canada, starting 4th today. He'll be looking to try and get back to the podium, keep his chances alive in this championship fight. Ivan Brito starting 5th. Great starting position for him in the Williams. He'll be looking to put some points on the board. And Foons Van Houten been kind of quiet this year. Starting mid-pack, he'll try and work his way through the field. And Rennie Vanderstapp starting in 7th. He's put in a lot of hard drives this year, a couple of comeback drives and recovery drives. He's a very hard-nosed racer. He'll be looking to try and work his way to the podium. Starting behind him will be Dion Stahl as we see one of the Mercedes go around, trying to put too much heat in the tires. Dion Stahl starting 8th. Can he work his way towards the front and help his teammate Sandro Julius put some more points on the board, keep himself alive in the championship fight? And then we've got Jorge Correa, who has 10 DNFs so far this year. He'll be looking to finish the race and put some points on the board. Colin Higgins is starting 10th. He'll be looking to hopefully put some points on the board as well. Sam Brandt struggling qualifying once again. See if he can put in a strategy drive, put some points on the board, with Reese March starting behind him in 12th. And then we've got Cameron Weston Edwards with a very disappointing 13th qualifying position. He seemed to be struggling with the car, or possibly with the controller or wheel. Something was not quite right towards the end of qualifying, so he'll be trying to work his way back through the field. And Tyler Martin and Tim Hoffnagel round out the 14th and 15th positions. So 5 red lights. Out they go. Time to run what you brung. They go away in a puff of smoke, and it's a good start by Sam Van Alven. Looks like Sandro Julius had a poor start as he drops back through the field. Looks like he's going to give him possibly 2 positions. He's already down to 5th, and it's going to be 4 or 5 wide as they head down. And Nick Van Gelder's making a move to the inside. He's not going to get there. And Julius looks like he's going to lose a couple of positions. Here comes Foons Van Houten on the outside. Ivan Brito pushes Sam Van Alven wide at the start. Louis Quinlan out in front. Julius is right behind Nick Van Gelder, almost banging wheels with each other. Van Gelder trying to get back. There's a 5-second stop-and-go penalty for Reese March, already for corner cutting. Van Gelder loses another position to Foons Van Houten as he works his way into 3rd. Meanwhile, the battle rages on at the front. Louis Quinlan and Sam Van Alven running 1-2. And Dion Stahl has fallen all the way back to 15th. Something has happened to him in the back of the field. Cameron Weston Edwards has worked his way into 10th. Good for him. Look at this. Tim Hoffnagel's worked his way up to 8th after starting at the rear of the grid. So definitely some carnage going on. Oh no, and we see this. Here's Rennie Vanderstapp. Hoffnagel gets a little shoulder check from him, and Rennie Vanderstapp drives into the pit. Looks like he's going to have some wing damage. Jorge Correa's worked his way into 7th. Meanwhile, the battle going on at the front. Sam Van Alven around the outside. And now he's going to have the more preferred line heading into the next corner, but they're still side by side, and now it's Louis Quinlan with the more preferred line. Van Alven goes very wide, and here, look at this, a move on the inside. Foons Van Houten 3 wide. He's getting a 2-for-1 deal. They head down to this next corner, but he's stuck on the outside. Louis Quinlan trying to hang tough, but Foons Van Houten gets in there, slides out, and now it's Sam Van Alven's going to take the 2nd spot. And Nick Van Gelder and Sandro Julius are sitting by watching all this unfold. Through the S's, Foons Van Houten out in front. Nick Van Gelder manages to get around Louis Quinlan. Quinlan is now dropped back to 4th. Sandro Julius is running, and here comes Ivan Brito. He's all over the back of Julius's car. Ivan Brito's running next to him. Meanwhile, Sam Van Alven side by side with Foons Van Houten as they head to the last set of corners. And look at this, Nick Van Gelder now has moved his way into 3rd. He's all over the back of Sam Van Alven's Renault. going to get a little bit of a toe down this very long front stretch. He's got the more preferred line as they head into turn 1. DRS is enabled. Side by side, and he's late on the brakes. He's not going to be able to make it work, and he loses the back end. He almost went around. Meanwhile, Ivan Brito's managed to get around. Louis Quinlan's managed to get back around Sandro Julius. And he's trying to work his way back into third as he tries to get around the outside of Nick Van Gelder. They bang wheels one more time. Oh, and he gives him a little nose check. Sandro Julius, meanwhile, running fifth. Looks like he's struggling for rear grip. Ivan Brito's all over the back of his car. Louis Quinlan running in fourth. Meanwhile, Nick Van Gelder has fallen off the pace here just a tad bit from all that. Foons Van Houten and Sam Van Elven running 1-2. And look at this Van Elven getting a little bit of a toe as they head down into that next section here. Van Gelder manages to close up the gap here in the stadium section. So now Louis Quinlan has fallen off the pace. He's about 1.2 seconds back for this three-way battle. And now Sam Van Elven and Nick Van Gelder. Too many vans. Look at this. Foons Van Houten, Sam Van Elven, Nick Van Gelder. So the van group is running 1, 2, and 3. The only one we're missing is Rennie Vanderstapp. Meanwhile, side by side, Van Houten, Van Elven, and here comes Van Gelder. Van Elven runs very wide. 3 wide as they head down into the next section. They bang wheels just a little bit. And look at this to the inside. Oh no, and Foons Van Houten gets hit by Van Gelder. 1, 2, 3, and meanwhile Sandro Julius is still stuck in between the Williams sandwich. Through the S's. And a 3-second time penalty for Louis Quinlan. And look at this, Sandro Julius and Ivan Brito side by side now. And what has happened to Louis Quinlan? Quinlan was running fourth. He's now fallen back all the way to 9th. Oh, and look at this three-way battle for the lead here. Tim Hoffnagel picking up a 3-second time penalty. That's going to be one of many, I'm sure. Going to try and keep tabs on him. Ivan Brito side by side with Sandro Julius. This is for the 4th spot. Sandro needs to keep his championship hopes alive, and Brito's not making it easy for him. Through the S's, and while these two are battling it out, Sam Brandt has managed to work his way into 6th, and he's actually catching up to this battle for 4th. Oh, but those guys run very wide coming out of there. Meanwhile, Nick Van Gelder side by side with Sam Van Elven trying to retake that lead in the stadium section. Foons Van Houten is right there to pounce. And Jorge Correa is going to pick up a 3-second time penalty. And Cameron Weston Edwards has just come over the radio and said he cannot race. He's having a problem with his controller. He said his pad is screwed, to put it nicely. And Sam Brandt gets by Ivan Brito. And that gives a little bit of breathing room. Oh, and Colin Higgins has retired. What has happened to him? So Cameron Weston Edwards is out, and it looks like they are coming to the back of Cameron Weston Edwards' car. And I'm not 100% sure if Cameron is still in control of the car. But we saw him struggle in qualifying. It looked like that he was having a problem, and it looks like he was ready. He said his pad is screwed right now. So I don't know if he's having a controller issue with the throttle or possibly the brakes, maybe possibly the steering, but either way, he's having an issue. And right now he's about to go a lap down as you see Nick Van Gelder, who has taken the lead. over Sam Van Elven and Foons Van Houten, running 1, 2, and 3. Sandro Dulis has managed to hang on to 4th, but now he's got his old friend and rival Sam Brandt right behind him. And you have to wonder here, Sam is a friend of Sandro's. He's in the Haas. It's Ferrari powered. Does Sam Brandt try to make a move on Sandro, or does he run 5th comfortably and let Sandro hang on to that 4th spot to try and keep those championship fight alive? And now we've got a side-by-side battle again for the lead as Sam Van Elven tries to go around the outside of Nick Van Gelder. He takes it for the time being. And Van Elven is now back out in front. And Colin Higgins has come over to the live chat, said he lost the rear of the vehicle at turn 12, and into the wall he went. And now Louis Quinlan has retired from the session. And Louis Quinlan, that's too bad. Quinlan, who started on the front row and actually had a really good race going, he was battling for 4th. Sandro Dulius fell back to 9th a few laps ago, and now Foons Van Houten picks up a 3-second time penalty. Oh, look at this. Van Elven and Van Gelder both run very wide coming out of that S's there. Meanwhile, Sam Brandt is right behind Sandro. Not exactly making a move on him. Van Elven dives into the pits. Sandro's going to stay out. Sam Brandt. Looks like he's going to go side by side with Sandro, and he's going to take that position. Moves into 4th. Actually moves into 3rd due to the pit sequence. So we've got Ivan Brito and Sam Van Elven, who have both moved into the pits. Meanwhile, Nick Van Gelder still has Foons Van Houten all over the back of him. 0.6 of a second splitting them. And Sandro 0.7 of a second back from Sam Brandt, and he take back 3rd spot. Looks like Sandro has struggled with his setup, though. His car doesn't seem to have the speed of a lot of other guys, and Ivan Brito is going to pick up a 3-second time penalty. It looks like Foons Van Houten's fallen off the pace here a little bit. 1.3 seconds back from Nick Van Gelder. So Van Gelder now starting to gap the field. Oh, but Van Gelder, the back end kicks out as he dives into the pits. Tyler Martin picks up a 3-second time penalty. That's going to move Sam Brandt into 1st. Sandro Dulius up to 2nd spot. And Jorge Correa, who loves to play the strategy game, has managed to work his way into 3rd spot. Good to see him running up there. Looks like Reese March. Oh, look at this. Sam Van Elven beats out Nick Van Gelder. And Van Gelder is now behind Rennie Vanderstappen. And Rennie Vanderstappen, as we talked earlier, is a hard-nosed racer. Him and Cameron Weston Edwards are probably the 2 hardest drivers to manage to get around. So Nick Van Gelder is going to have his hands full as we see Reese March and Sam Van Elven battle it out. Van Elven goes around the outside, picks up the 4th spot. Meanwhile, Sandro has managed to close this gap back up to Sam Brandt. Looks like Sandro's going to have a good run. He gets a little bit of the draft coming down in this backstretch here. Wasn't close enough to make a move as they head into the stadium section. Rennie Vanderstappen picks up a 3-second time penalty. As he is battling it out with Reese March as well. And Tim Hoffnagel picks up another. That should be Tim's 2nd 3-second time penalty. Side by side as they head down the front stretch, Sandro makes the move. Sam Van Elven just ran the fastest lap of the race. Sandro is now out in front, leading this race. But for how long is going to be the question. Jorge Correa is 5 seconds behind that battle, running in 3rd. Sam Van Elven is 6 seconds back from that. Meanwhile, you got Rennie Vanderstappen, Reese March, and Nick Van Gelder 3 wide as they head to the corner. Van Gelder managed to get a 2-for-1 deal in that section. Reese March cuts the corner, And he's going to lose a handful of spots there. Sam Van Elven, I'm sorry, that's Nick Van Gelder with Rennie Vanderstappen behind him. And then Foons Van Houten, who's coming out of the pits. So that is 5th, 6th, and 7th right there. Meanwhile, Sam Brandt is still over the back of Sandro Julius as they head to the stadium section one more time. So now it's going to be a game of cat and mouse. Who's going to pit first? And neither one of them are going to pit this time by. Brandt is going to have the DRS advantage. Oh, and a late break move by Sam Brandt. Dives to the inside. Picks up a 3-second time penalty in the process, though. And Foons Van Houten manages to get around Rennie Vanderstappen to pick up the 6th spot. Meanwhile, Tim Hoffnagel's just gotten around Reese March to pick up 8th. I don't think Rennie is done, though, with Foons Van Houten. Meanwhile, Sam Brandt again nose to tail with Sandro Julius. Sandro manages to gap him just a little bit. They head to the stadium section. Colin Higgins has officially left the session after he DNF'd earlier in the race. And Cameron Weston Edwards has managed to move into 12th through the pit sequence. And look at this, Sam Van Elven has managed to get around Jorge Correa. Nick Van Gelder picks up a 3-second time penalty, running in 5th. Meanwhile, Sam Brandt and Sandro Julius still running 1-2. Sam Van Elven is going to be over 6.5 seconds behind this battle. As we work lap 12 of 36. This has been an unbelievable race so far. Sam Van Elven is closing that gap, though. He's now 5.9 seconds behind. Sandro has not had the speed as Sam Van Elven, Foons Van Houten, or Nick Van Gelder today. He's managed to work his way in the front through strategy. Is he going to be able to stay there is going to be the thing. Sam Brandt runs very wide there. And Jorge Correa is going to pick up a 3-second time penalty. That's his first one of the day. So we've got Nick Van Gelder now. He's going to get to the inside of Jorge Correa. And we've got a 3-way battle here. We've got Van Gelder, Jorge Correa, and Foons Van Houten. This is 4th, 5th, and 6th. Nose to tail. Who makes the move? Foons Van Houten dives out of line. And he is going to get by his teammate in the Mercedes. So 4th and 5th now is Nick Van Gelder, Foons Van Houten. Sam Van Elven has managed to gap these guys. So Sam's going to be sitting in a really in the catbird seat at this point because Sandro Julius and Sam Brandt have yet to pit. So when these two dive in the pits, that's going to hand over first place to Sam Van Elven, who's really putting in a surprising race. And once again, neither one of them pit as they start lap 14 of this race. And in the midst of all this, Sam Van Elven has cut this lead down to 2.9 seconds. Ivan Brito picks up a 3-second time penalty. That's Ivan's second one of the day. So Sandro Julius, this is first and second. This is your closest battle on track between him and Sam Brandt. You have Robert Dornbos, that is Sam Van Alven. He is about 3 seconds back from this battle. Then you pick up Nick Van Gelder. He's got Foons Van Houten all over the back of him. And then you go back to 6th and 7th. That battle is raging on. That's Rennie Vanderstappen and Tim Hofnagel. So every couple of spots, we've got a battle going on through the top 6. 2 by 2 by 2, it would seem. And now Sam Van Alven is now 1.3 seconds back, so we're about to have a three-way battle for the lead here. And Sandro picks up a 3-second time penalty. That's going to cost him for sure. They head through the stadium section. Sandro and Sam Brandt have yet to pit, though. And it looks like Sandro is going to dive into the pits, and Sam Brandt is right behind him. So that's going to hand the lead over to Sam Van Alven, who is now going to have a gap on his hands. 3-second gap between him and Nick Van Gelder for second spot. And then Nick's got Foons Van Houten behind him. Tim Hofnagel manages to get around Rennie Vanderstappen. Vanderstappen going to dive to the inside here at the end of the front stretch. No, but Rennie Vanderstappen is not going to give up that easy. You see Hofnagel cut the grass there. And because of where the DRS detection zone is, looks like Hofnagel's going to have the advantage over Vanderstappen here. Hofnagel holding off Rennie Vanderstappen for the 4th spot. That's a good run for him. Reese March has managed to work his way back into 6th, but he's got Sam Brandt on the fresher tires right behind him. This is the Haas teammates here. And Sam Brandt has been the only consistent Haas driver this year. He's participated in every single race. He's had a number of teammates as he makes the move now on Reese March. Gets around his teammate, picks up the 6th spot. Sandro Julius manages to get around Ivan Brito. Ivan's still there. Oh, and Ivan's not giving up on that fight as they head into the stadium section. And those two were battling it out earlier at the beginning of the race for the 4th and 5th spot. Sandro manages to gap him. Looks like Reese March. Nope, Rennie Vanderstappen has dived into the pits once again. Now the cars are starting to get spread out a little bit. Not sure what that was by Rennie Vanderstappen. Meanwhile, Foons Van Houten is now right around a second. He's floating in between about 0.8 to 1.2. See if he can get that DRS advantage from Nick Van Gelder. Van Gelder trying to gap that as the cars get spread out a little bit here. Meanwhile, Sandro Julius and Reese March going back and forth again. Reese manages to get around Ivan Brito. And looks like Reese is going to dive into the pits. That'll hand 7th spot back over to Ivan Brito. Meanwhile, back at the front, it's Sam Van Alven. Putting together a very stellar race. Tyler Martin, looks like Tyler Martin came out just in front of Reese March. So Tyler Martin's going to pick up that last championship point. Looks like Nick Van Gelder's cut that lead down. It was 3.3, now it's down to 2.5. So Sam Van Alven's tires might be starting to give up a little bit of grip here as we work Lap 18, halfway through this race now. Sam Van Elven putting in a stellar drive as Tyler Martin picks up another 3-second time penalty. That should be his second one for the day. But Sam Van Elven started on pole. It's his first SRL pole position in his young career. Putting together a stellar race under the name of Robert Dornbull, something Robert never could do for himself. So good to see Sam out in front. Nick Van Gelder trying to keep his championship hopes alive. He's now got that lead cut down to 2.3 as he's closing that gap. And Foons Van Houten, who we talked about a little bit earlier, said he was pretty quiet this year. He's been finishing mid-pack most of the time. Finally showing some speed as he's running third and battled for the lead a lot earlier on this race. We see Dion Stahl pick up a 3-second time penalty. Tim Hoffnagel, who started at the back of the field, didn't set a qualifying time, I believe due to a qualifying ban. Running in fourth, another great run by him. Then we've got Sam Brandt currently running fifth. He started deep in the field as well. Didn't have a very good qualifying session. Sandro Dulius started fourth and has struggled this race. He is now running in sixth. Ivan Brito actually has Rennie Vanderstappen all over the back of him. This is the battle for seventh here. Then you've got Jorge Correa and Tyler Martin rounding out your top 10, but it looks like Reese March is trying to make a move on Tyler Martin, trying to keep track of that. As we watch these two here, Rennie Vanderstappen puts a wheel to Ivan Brito's car. And Rennie is a very aggressive driver. He's going to have the DRS advantage. He's going to have a lot of speed. Ivan Brito is going to take the more defensive line. He's going to make Vanderstappen go to the outside. Look at that move by Vanderstappen around the outside. He's got enough DRS in there. Oh no, and look at this Ivan Brito. Looks like he lost a little bit of his wing there. Running in the back of Rennie Vanderstappen's car. Pick up the TV pod. I'm just trying to see if maybe there's some wing damage that we can see there, but it doesn't look like we can. Maybe the right front has a little bit of wing damage to it. Meanwhile, Nick Van Gelder is now 2.3 seconds behind Sam Van Elven. And another 3-second time penalty for Dion Stahl. My count's correct, that's his third one. Oh, and Sam Van Elven picks up one. And Rennie Vanderstappen runs the fastest lap of the race, a 1:16.966. Jorge Correa is going to pick up the 8th spot as Ivan Brito dives into the pits. And not sure what's going on there. That's just a glitch in the game. Meanwhile, Van Gelder still trying to close that gap. Sandro Dulius now has caught Tim Hoffnagel. Ooh, and it looks like we're about to have a three-way car battle. This is going to be for the 4th spot. Sandro to the inside, which becomes the outside. Hoffnagel pushes him wide down in the stadium section. Nice move by Sandro, but Hoffnagel's not going to give it up. He cuts the corner. And Hoffnagel is going to dive into the pits. If you're going to be pitting, then you should let the other cars by. So Sandro Dulius has got his old buddy Sam Brandt behind him once again. The battle for 4th. Meanwhile, Sam Van Elven has managed to re-gap Nick Van Gelder for second. It is now up to 3 seconds again. Ivan Brito with another time penalty. And Rennie picks up another time penalty. That's his second. Ivan, I believe that's his third. And now it's Ivan Brito and Reese March side by side. This is the battle for 9th. Oh, and Brito's got a good run coming out of that corner. He gets to the inside. He's going to have the DRS. They're side by side now. Jorge Correa picks up another 3-second time penalty. Watch these two race down towards the left-hander here. That's Jorge's second one. Oh, and look at the move by Ivan Brito as he gets to the inside. And he's going to get that power down, and he immediately gaps Reese March. Great move by Ivan Brito to pick up the 9th spot. Nick Van Gelder pits and comes out. That's going to hand 3rd spot over to Sandro Dulius. 4th is Sam Brandt. Nick Van Gelder should be his last stop of the day here on lap 22. Comes out 5th. And now Foons Van Houten moves into 2nd as he works his way around Cameron Weston Edwards. What is going on here? Is Cameron's car AI, or is Cameron really battling with Foons Van Houten? A 3-second time penalty for Cam. And Edwards here is hassling Foons Van Houten. Van Houten dives into the pits. So Sandro Dulius could take over 2nd spot. It's going to be close. Foons is back out of his box. Sandro goes by. Sam Brandt goes by. Nick Van Gelder is going to go by. No! Look at this. 3 wide as they head down. That was Van Elven also pitted. So look at the uppercut by Nick Van Gelder, now that we speak of it. Van Gelder manages to get by Sam Van Elven. And Van Elven's got to work around Sam Brandt. And I don't think Brandt's going to make life too easy for him. Oh, he's going to try and do the crossover. He can't make it work. So Nick Van Gelder is in the catbird seat. He's 1.2 seconds behind Sandro Dulius. Dulius is probably going to have to pit again. I don't know that he's going to be able to make those super softs last until the end of the race. And even if he can, he hasn't had the pace of Van Gelder, Van Elven, or Van Houten. We see Van Gelder just ran the fastest lap, 1:16.323 in his Red Bull. So he is closing that gap. And now Sam Van Elven is caught in the back of Nick Van Gelder. These two are going to battle it out again. Oh, and Van Elven to the inside. Oh! Looked like that back end was going to get ready to come around on Van Gelder's Red Bull. Nick and Sam battling it out. This is really the battle for the lead here. Sandro Dulius is currently running first, but he's probably going to have to pit again. This is essentially the battle for the lead of this race. Van Elven running in the Renault, looking to pick up his first ever career SRL win. He already picked up his first career pole leading into this race. Van Gelder looking to pick up his 3rd win of the year and try and keep those championship hopes alive. A little bit of contact there. Van Elven's back end kicks around. Dion Stahl picks up a 3-second time penalty in the midst of all this. Rennie Vanderstappen has worked his way around Sam Brandt at the stadium section. That was a hard place to pass. And a little bit of a gap now, a little bit of breathing room as they head down the front stretch. Don't think Van Elven is going to be close enough to Van Gelder to make a move, so a little bit of breathing space for the time being. But look how much that Renault closes up under the DRS. Picked up 0.4 of a second just down the front stretch. And now he's going to have the DRS slot open again. And of course the game would have me look out the back of the car when all of the action is out front. Sam Van Elven. Oh, and look at this. These two have now caught Sandro Dulius. They're within striking distance of Sandro's cars. They are now both under a second as well, so these two will have the DRS advantage, working lap 25 of 36. Van Gelder picks up another 3-second time penalty. We saw him just drop the tires in the grass. That's Nick's second 3-second time penalty, if I've got my calculations correct. Sam's only got one. Here goes Van Elven to the inside. Wasn't there, wasn't close enough to make the move. I thought he was going to try and dive bomb in there. And he's all over the back of Nick Van Gelder. And I haven't seen a race like this from Sam Van Elven since he finished 6th last year. Racing against, oh, and he gives him a little love tap. That's a NASCAR bump and run right there. That was textbook. That is a textbook Dale Sr. bump and run, and Nick Van Gelder is now back into 3rd. And a 3-second time penalty for Sam Brandt. He's about a half second behind Foons Van Houten. We've got a 4-way battle here. It looks like that is a lap car, Cameron Weston Edwards. In the midst of all this, he gets out of the way, lets the 3 cars go by. That's 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Sanders still out in front. And as I was saying, I haven't seen Sam Van Elven run a race like this since he finished 6th last year as he battled it out with Cameron Weston Edwards. I can't remember what track it was, but it was a hard-fought race, and he came home 6th. And he puts the move on Sandro Dulius as he goes around the outside of Dulius' Scuderia Ferrari. Nick Van Gelder now back into 3rd. He's going to try and make a move on Sandro as he's going to be his next target. Well, it looked like Sandro wanted to try and make a move. It doesn't look like Sandro was done trying to fight for that lead. Nick Van Gelder manages to get around him. And it looks like these two are coming up to the what is now going to be the lap car of Tyler Barton. He is currently running 12th in the McLaren. So not a great day for him. He's about to go a lap down. He'll join Cameron Weston Edwards. And a 3-second time penalty for Jorge Correa. Dion Stall's in the pits. That's Jorge's 3rd 3-second time penalty. You see Dion coming out of the pits now. A lot of traffic out here. So that's some lap traffic is what that is. But Dion Stall actually loses a position out to Cameron Weston Edwards as Edwards works his way into 12th. Eight laps to go. And the blue flags have to be waving at Tyler Martin right now. Tyler needs to get out of the way. And again, Tyler needs to get out of the way and let these two go by. The laps are winding down. We're going to start lap 29 of 36 this time by. Nick Van Gelder in striking distance of Sam Van Elven. Van Elven trying to hang on to pick up his first ever career SRL win. Van Gelder trying to keep his championship hopes alive and close the points gap to Francis McGinn and Vilios Belasiutas, neither of which are in this race today. Van Gelder to the inside. He's going to try and make the move. They're side by side. They rub wheels a little bit. Nick and Sam back and forth. Sam gets the power down. Van Gelder's going to have the DRS advantage. We look out the back of Ben Elvin's car to the outside. They rub wheels again. Ooh, and Ben Gelder tries to stuff it in there, get that power down. Ben Elvin's off track, tries to make the back end stay intact. Nick's back end kicks out just a little bit. Sandro trying to close the gap back up to these two. And Ben Gelder hangs on to the lead, takes it back from Ben Elvin. Through the S's. Dion Stahl with another time penalty. That's his fourth of the day, if my calculations are correct. And Sandro is back in this fight here, as he's currently running third. So Sam Van Elven will have the DRS slot open. Sandro Dooley should have the DRS slot open. Nick tries to break up the draft a little bit. Van Elven to the inside. Look how quick that Renault closes up that gap to the inside. They're side by side again. Edwards picks up a 3-second time penalty. It's going to be inconsequential to his 12th place running right now. And Sam Van Elven back out in front. Sandro Dooley is now. Van Gelder's going to be at a disadvantage. He's not going to have the DRS at all. And these three guys, meanwhile, Tyler Martin is in the background. That was running 11th. It was not Tim Hoffnagel, so don't be confused there. Martin is a lap car. And he picks up a 3-second time penalty. And Van Gelder once again. These guys are running nose to tail, 1, 2, and 3. Oh no, Rennie Vanderstappen! What has happened to Rennie? Let's see if we can find Rennie's car. Would have been in the S's section here. It looks like Jorge Garria just passed it, so it would have been there. Rennie Vanderstappen crashing out. Meanwhile, Nick Van Gelder still trying to find a way back into the front spot. Rennie Vanderstappen, who had a pretty decent race going, is now done for the day. Cameron Winston Edwards manages to run the fastest lap at a 1:15.479. So maybe he's got his controller issues back under control. Sam Van Elven with about a half-second lead over Nick Van Gelder. Van Gelder with about a half-second gap back to Sandro Dulius. Looks like Julius at this point is going to run those super softs all the way to the end of this race. Ooh, and Van Gelder really deep on the brakes there. They head into the stadium section. Dion Stahl picks up another 3-second time penalty, but he is currently running in 12th, or what will be 12th. Van Gelder, looks like he was thinking about it. This has been an unbelievable race here, round 18. Mexico, the weather has been beautiful through qualifying and through the race. And we are just watching some amazing racing. A couple of veterans here, Nick Van Gelder and Sandro Dulius, trying to take advantage of the sophomore driver, Sam Van Elven, who's looking to pick up his first career SRL win. Oh, but he picks up a 3-second time penalty. So him and Nick both have two 3-second time penalties. Sandro only has the one, I believe. So realistically, if the race ended right this second, Sandro would come out on top with the time penalties assessed. We start lap 33. There could be a big shakeup here at the end of this race because technically that's 6 seconds. Foods Van Houten is all the way back in 4th. He's 4.8 seconds behind. You could see Foods Van Houten jump into 2nd spot because of the time penalties. So I'm really interested to see how this race is going to end. Even if Sam Van Elven comes across the line first, he may not get the win, and that would be really disappointing for him. Through the S's. Oh, everybody's running a little wide there. And that's the biggest spot on this track to pick up them time penalties. And look at this to the inside. Van Gelder thought about it. Sandro Dulius was running left side tires off the track as he picked up a bunch of dust. Oh, and Van Gelder's car, the back end just twitched there a little bit. And it is getting down to the wire, folks. Working lap 34, 3 laps left to go in this unbelievable race here. Van Gelder and Dulius both have the DRS advantage. Van Gelder is going to be close enough. Dives to the inside. Has he got enough speed to gap Van Elven? He does. Van Elven's going to be right there. Is he going to give him another bump and run now? DRS slot open for Van Gelder. Sem to the inside. And Sem's got a good run with no DRS. He's going to go side by side with him through the corners. Look, Van Gelder pops over the curb just a little bit. That's going to cost him. Tries to stuff it down on the inside. Dulius is right there, ready to pounce if something happens between these two. Through the S's one more time. Look at this. Oh, no, Van Gelder! He's lost the back end of the car. Front wing damage for Sandro Dulius. And that is going to help Sam Van Elven. He's going to be able to gap these two by a second. Dulius is going to have wing damage now. It looks like the end plate might have come off the front of that car with some bits and pieces. I don't know if it was from the front of Dulius' car or from the rear of Van Gelder's car. But Van Gelder lost the back end. There's still the matter of the time penalties to be assessed through the course of this race. Foods Van Houten has a time penalty himself, so him and Sandra both have one. Why am I looking at the back of the car? Lap and a half to go. Sam Van Elven. I feel kind of bad for him. I got a feeling he's going to come across the line first. I don't think he's going to walk away with this win. As long as I've done my math correctly, it looks like Sandra would be the one to come out on top. I may have missed a couple of time penalties here and there, but I knew time penalties were going to be an issue coming into this race. Mexico is always full of them. If I did my time penalties correctly, it looks like Louis Quinlan would have had one. Reese March had a 5-second stop-and-go penalty earlier in the race. Foods Van Houten has one. Jorge has one. Sorry, Jorge has 4. But Foods Van Houten had one. As they go side by side, Van Gelder trying to get back around Sandro Dulius. Oh, and they're banging wheels. And Gelder's got the DRS advantage. They're going to go side by side through the set of corners here. Dulius runs his car just a little wide coming out of there. Oh, now Van Gelder back out in front. Oh, and Dulius' back end kicks out on him. Half a lap to go. Van Gelder running in second. Dulius running in third. And Sandro picks up a 3-second time penalty on the last lap. That could cost him. Oh my goodness, and a darting around, trying to get to the outside of Van Gelder. He's going to be pushed wide as they head to the stadium section. He's got the inside line. running side by side. Oh, and the back end slides out on Van Gelder's car. Julius cuts the corner. He's going to try a crossover move. Cameron Weston Edwards picks up. Look at it. Julius trying to drift the car around the outside. And look at this, Sandro Julius. If the time penalties have been assessed, Sam Van Alven comes across the line first, but he falls to third. Nick Van Gelder comes home with the win. Sandro Julius in second. Foons Van Houten in fourth spot. Tim Hofnagel fights his way to fifth while starting last. Sam Brandt sixth. Jorge Correa manages to keep it together. I think he looks like he's struggling there a bit. His race isn't over. Here comes Ivan Brito. His race is not over. Ivan Brito has a chance. Jorge Correa is struggling here on this last section of this course. I don't know if he's out of gas or what the problem is. Brito's going to take the position. Correa may have run out of fuel. Ivan Brito is going to come across the line in seventh spot. And Jorge Correa is eighth. Reese March coming through the stadium section now. He'll finish ninth. And Tyler Martin will be 10th. He was a lap down. What an unbelievable race as we watch Reese March come across the line. Wow, what a race. And I want to give props to Sam Van Alven. It was a really good run for him. He's not going to pick up his first one, unfortunately. He does get to pick up his first podium. But there's Nick Van Gelder, comes out on top, keeping those championship hopes alive between Vasilios Belasientis and Francis McGinn. Same can be said, I believe, for Sandro Julius. He still should be mathematically in the fight. And then Sam Van Alven with his first ever SRL podium, backing up his first ever SRL pole position heading into this race. It has to be said, Sam did come across the line first, but time penalties assessed and time of penalties be damned, but a third place finish is nothing to scoff at. Nick Van Gelder, your winner. Sandro Julius, Sam Van Alven, Foons Van Houten coming home in fourth. Tim Hofnagel, amazing run by him, coming home fifth. Sam Brandt is sixth. Ivan Brito is seventh. Jorge Correa eighth. Reese March is ninth. Tyler Martin is 10th. Dion Stahl 11th. Cameron Weston Edwards is 12th. And Rennie Vanderstapp, Louis Quinlan, and Colin Higgins all with the DNFs 12, 13, and 14th. This has been an unbelievable race. So, moving forward real quick, please like, subscribe, and comment to the video below, to the SRL YouTube page. You can check us out online. The description for the link, actually the link for the website is in the description below. And be sure to check that out for all the news and notes heading towards the end of this unbelievable race season. Be sure to check us out later in the week because we'll have an SRL review review video of this race to get caught up on all the penalties that have been assessed and to get an update on the points table. So this has been an unbelievable race. Glad to be back in the booth. Unfortunately, I don't know that I'll make any more of the races for the remainder of the year, but I believe there's 3 races remaining, and I'm not sure what the next track is, but it's going to be in 2 weeks, I believe, or it may even be next week. But check out SRL Online to find out more, and like, subscribe, and comment to the YouTube channel, guys. This has been an amazing race. It's been good to be back. I hope everybody enjoyed this race as much as I did. It was a lot of fun to watch. I hope it was a lot of fun to watch on the live stream. And be sure to check us out in the future as this championship battle is coming down to the wire. And right now it's a 4-way battle to see who's going to take it. And Nick Van Gelder coming on the live chat real quick. My goodness, that was the most intense race I've ever done. And Van Gelder does get to walk away with the win, thanks to some time penalties. So be sure to check us out. And be sure to check me out if you want on YouTube. Like, subscribe, and comment to my page, Kamikaze Fox. Check out more videos there, and be sure to check out the older videos on SRL for the previous seasons and a lot of the races this season. And guys, we'll see you at the next round. This has been amazing.